There's a very distinguished group of speakers coming after me, so I'm going to be very brief. There are really two values that Calpine holds above all others. They're environmental stewardship and free and competitive markets. And I think the power plant going up behind me here, emphasizes both of those. On the competition side, we're in Delaware, which is an incredibly business-friendly state. In the PJM power market, which values reliability and and fairness. And because of that, we are actually building this plant with no subsidies, no long-term contracts. We're putting our own capital at risk because we believe in the state and we believe in this region as a place to invest. On the environmental side, obviously we're here to celebrate the new rules, the climate change initiative. And we think this plant is exactly the kind of investment that has to occur to us all to achieve our goals. It is we've been very active. We're very supportive of the EPA and the climate change initiative. We've been very active in the regional climate change efforts, both AB 32 in California, as well as here in the Mid-Atlantic through the Northeast with the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. It's very important. We think, as I said, gas plants are going to be a key part. Renewables are important, but you can't always count on the sun shining like we're seeing here today. And we think gas will really take the laboring oar in helping us all achieve our, where we want to go. So I now have the privilege of introducing Delaware's Governor Jack Markell. It's not a hard task. Everybody here knows him. I will say that a few years ago, as we began investing in this part of the country, Governor Markell and his staff were very encouraging to us, persuasive even. We've invested here with this plant in Kent County. We operate a couple of power plants up near Wilmington, and our regional headquarters, our East Coast headquarters, is actually located in downtown Wilmington. Delaware has really figured it out. They figured out a way to be both very business friendly as well as very committed to the environment. And so, with both Governor Markell, DNREC Secretary Collin O'Mara, David Small, who will also follow on there. We're deeply honored to have all of you here today. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Thad. We very much appreciate this investment. Also appreciate the tour, which was organized by Calpine and the Shoe Shine Society of Delaware. And I am hereby committing Secretary O'Mara to personally either clean the administrator's shoes or to pay for the cleaning. Also her pants, Collin. So that's on you. So, and that's not something that you can pass on to Dave Small either. Yes, you're doing that. But we really appreciate Administrator McCarthy that you've come here today, and we certainly appreciate the great leadership of Sean in this region. He does a fantastic job, and he said that Collin's been all over him to get you to come to Delaware, and Sean said, we just have to find the right opportunity, and we believe that this is the perfect opportunity because it's a chance for us to showcase the work that Delaware has done, really the combination of things that Thad was talking about. I mean, it's about environmental stewardship and also, growing jobs. And I think, it's been incredible to follow this debate across the country and people getting so upset when I think, this is a great example. We're putting people to work on this project right now, 300, very talented Delaware workers, and there will be some additional permanent workers, but also bringing down the cost of power for people in this region once this thing's turned on. I mean, so how much better does it get than that when you're talking about you're putting people to work, you're going to reduce the cost of electricity, you're cleaning up the environment, it's better for people's health. What's there to argue about? And so we just really appreciate the opportunity to have you here to help us showcase the work that we've been doing. We are very grateful to Calpine, certainly for this investment, which is a major, major investment, several $100 million here in Kent County. But the work that you've done up in Wilmington, you talked about Edgemore and Hay Road, and the work that you've done up there has been really, really important. And as soon as Calpine acquired those facilities, they said they're going to switch from coal to natural gas. Great for our economy, great for the environment. Again, a real win-win. And as Thad said, establishing the corporate headquarters in Delaware as well, and then partnering here with the city of Dover. It is great to have, as Sean mentioned, Representative Kowalko, Representative Scott, the mayor, as well as members of City Council, to have the head of the PSC Dallas Winslow, and others. We very much appreciate all that you're doing. And also, I do want to thank again the congressional delegation for the great job that you do, as well as the folks that you're working with. You know, the science here is unbelievably clear, and you know, it does get a little bit frustrating to hear people trying to debate science that is now, you know, really very much settled. You know, addressing the root causes of climate change means that we have to cut down on carbon pollution, and the largest source of dirty carbon emissions are power plants. And so, for environmental and health reasons, the Clean Power Plan that the administrator announced a few days ago to reduce these emissions by 30% by 2030 is necessary, and we embrace that. But a big part of the reason that we're here today is really to showcase how we can achieve those reductions while at the same time strengthening our economy. And to claim otherwise, which too many people do, simply flies in the face of hard evidence. And I think this, you know, what you see behind me just shows that. Hundreds of people, as I mentioned, will be building this plant, and as I mentioned, also bring down the cost of power. But beyond the immediate economic and environmental issues, climate change is an incredible threat to our future, not just the immediate future, but certainly the future for generations to come. Rising sea levels, along with more frequent and powerful storms like Hurricane Irene and Superstorm Sandy, put Delaware families and businesses at risk. Our largest industry, agriculture, faces severe conditions that harm crops. And in Delaware's case, as the lowest lying state in the country, it could literally put much of our state underwater. So if anybody ought to get this, it ought to be us in Delaware. And we know that we can't afford to see what happens next before we act. So we're limiting future damage by nourishing beaches, by repairing dikes and dams, and by modernizing stormwater infrastructure. But the fact is, we can't just adapt our way out of this challenge, and no state can address this all by themselves. And we need projects like the one going on here to take place all across the country. And if implemented, the EPA's proposal will help make that happen. It'll mean cleaner air, better health, more research, manufacturing, and construction jobs, and more efficient and less costly energy. And all of that is such a positive. And we know that because we see all this happening in Delaware, that this is possible. We've also focused big time on the deployment of renewables. Solar technology, for example, we've increased 30-fold. Since 2008, we've strengthened building codes, worked with the Sustainable Energy Utility to spur more than $100 million in energy efficiency investments in the state. We've worked together with states across the region to cut carbon pollution. And I think that EPA's plan will spur more of this activity across the country. And so, you know, we've made great progress. I do want to say, and I apologize, I've already apologized to the administrator. I have to take off because I've got a lunch at Woodburn. But I do specifically want to thank Secretary O'Mara for the great leadership he's provided, the intellectual leadership, as well as the getting it done leadership over these last 5 years. We've made just, I think, really great progress with him at the Stead, and I know that progress will continue if we're fortunate enough to have the Senate confirm Dave Small's nomination to be DENREC Secretary. So with that, very much appreciate everybody being here to celebrate a great project. Thad, thanks for your continued investment and confidence in Delaware, and Administrator, thank you so much for coming.
So I'm going to talk just for a minute or two about kind of how we did achieve the more than 40% reductions that we've seen in Delaware over the past few years, and then I'll have the great honor of introducing our administrator to say a few words. The reason we wanted to have this event here is really two reasons. One is that Calpine has made incredible investments across this entire state. Both cleaning up plants up north that had caused problems for years and years, and then building clean generation here that's going to help displace dirtier fuels to the west. And also, there's another investment that's right behind us. That's a 10 megawatt solar park that's part of the 60 megawatts that's been installed just during the governor's term in office. You know, these policies work. You know, a lot of times in Dover, we'll have these debates on policies and things like that, but at the end of the day, Delawareans can come together to pass things like aggressive renewable portfolio standards, efficiency standards. Actually, Daryl Scott and I are trying to get an efficiency bill done right now with Representative Cuoco and others that if it was able to pass, would create hundreds of efficiency jobs in Delaware. The reasons that we've been able to make the reductions, though, is that we've been able to put together the economics with good environmental science. And what the Clean Power Plan does is really ask states to do the same thing. States have been laboratories of democracy and laboratories of innovation for years and years and years in this country. You know, under the administrator's leadership in her previous role as the commissioner in Connecticut, she was one of the architects of the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, which I was fortunate to join the last few years and help tighten that cap. That's a state-led innovation now that created a national model that states can choose to join or choose to come up with their own plan. There's no better entity to implement a lot of these programs than states, because they have public service commissions, as Dallas is representing today, as they have local governments that are making leadership decisions for what kind of communities they want to be, because they have relationships with the business community. There's a way that we can put these pieces together state by state to achieve incredibly important goals in a way that strengthens our economy, improves public health, and creates jobs for years and years to come. There is no one in this country that understands the importance of state and local governments in putting these policies into action than the EPA Administrator, Gina McCarthy. Over the last 6 years, first as air administrator and now as administrator, she has done more to unleash markets, to use market forces and just common sense to make huge progress on issues that have seemed intractable for years and years, whether that's cross-state air pollution and having the Roberts Court actually uphold a rule saying that she was absolutely right and industry was wrong is a huge accomplishment. Having over, no, exactly. And over again, though, the courts have actually upheld the actions that EPA has taken over the last few years. So as the rhetoric continues to be challenging, and folks will say that, you know, that yet another regulation is going to kill jobs, as they've been saying for the last 50 years, right? Every time there's a new standard, whether it's acid rain or before that the car standards, or every time there's a standard, the doomsday scenario that comes out is this is going to kill jobs. But every time American innovation turns out finding ways to have solutions that are cheaper, faster, and actually strengthen the economy more and more. The stock market continues to grow despite us having cleaner air and cleaner water. The person that we need in this country to be in the position that she is in is Gina McCarthy. The president made a brilliant selection in finding someone that understood this intersection at a time of very, very complicated politics, but at a time of absolute necessary action. And so it's just my honor to introduce my good friend, Gina McCarthy.
You know, first of all, I want to say that my shoes are filthy, and my pants are filthy. However, this represents jobs. This represents American ingenuity. This represents everything that this country has to offer about how to build a good, sustainable economy while you protect the public health of the American people. This is everything we want to celebrate. So you're not cleaning these shoes. I'm taking them back. I'm showing President Obama. He's going to be happy. So first of all, let me say that I was so thankful that to be here with, am I not doing this right? Okay, to be here with Collin and to have him introduce me. I certainly want to recognize the leadership of Governor Markell first. However, I know the work that Collin has done. We have worked together for a lot of years now, way more than you look in terms of your age, but way less than what I look. He has been a tremendous leader, and he has not just been a leader in this state, but he has shown incredible leadership throughout the region, as well as our larger Ozone Transport Commission. In his vision, his understanding of exactly what he said about me, which is the intersection that he needs to bring to the table when you work for a state, of how you can keep advancing environmental goals and showing that leadership in a way that really continues to make your state shine. I could not be in a better place today, so soon after we announced this rule, than in Delaware, because this is where it's happening. They get it in Delaware, and they get it big time. And what it's going to do for them, it's going to protect their public health, it's going to grow their communities, it's going to bring jobs that you can't outsource anywhere else, it's going to bring new technologies like renewable solar with one of the best, most efficient natural gas units you are ever going to find, that represents the United States of America's leadership in how to design new technologies moving forward and how to build them. And it's going to show us that there is a path that's doable when you really put your mind to it to address the challenge of climate change. Because this isn't just about what might happen in the future. It is exactly about what's already happening today. And so I am so excited to be here. As I said before, the governor has shown tremendous leadership. It is wonderful to have someone stand up and understand so fully what he needs to serve the public. Because the public doesn't just want to have good jobs and a good economy. They know that it has to be coupled with a healthy, wonderful, vibrant environment. And that is what today is really all about, celebrating. Mayor, thank you for letting me be here. It's a great opportunity to be in Dover. I've never been here before. I'm coming back. As soon as, Collin, in your next venture, can we have fish and wildlife around here so that we can hang out? That would be great, because I know that Collin is moving on, but I know that he's got Dave Small in the back here who's going to do a great job moving forward. And frankly, I can't be happier that Collin is going to take the reins at the National Wildlife Federation, because no federation actually brings together these issues more effectively than they do, about how important it is for our natural resources, for the health and well-being of people, that we protect our natural resources while we continue to have this country flourish. And I'm excited. Now, I don't want to say too much more, but let me say a couple of more things. I think one of the reasons I'm here today is that we put out a carbon pollution standard, which we call our Clean Power Plan. And that we released it on Monday, and frankly, I'm so excited to finally have it out, because we started these discussions 10 months or so ago. We have had more discussions before we put pen to paper on this rule than any rule that we have ever done. And one of the reasons was that we wanted to make sure that what we were asking of the American people and what we were asking of every state was practical and affordable, that would keep the lights on, it would keep the electricity affordable, and it would be an opening to continue to grow jobs and to allow the economy to flourish. We spent huge amounts of energy, and they were very well spent, because you know where we came out, where most of us were at, where most people were asking us to come out. We said we will set standards that we think are practical and affordable. We'll do it on a state-by-state basis. We'll be fair. We'll see where every state is today and what you can expect of them moving forward on the basis of where they are today, what their fuel supply is, what their opportunities are. And we'll look at such extraordinarily difficult and unique things as doing what other states are already doing, and doing what communities are already doing, which is stop wasting electricity, highly controversial issue. There is a large amount of communities who refuse to be efficient. Of course there isn't. Everybody wants to stop wasting electricity. And the other thing is just to look at what new technologies are available, and ways in which you can take advantage of no carbon technologies like this, marrying an efficient unit where you need it, and providing a solar array that not only brings tremendous opportunities for no carbon and carbon reductions, but also it looks pretty cool. I mean, you couldn't even see it. How cool is that? And then also to recognize that every state, in fairness, should have an ability to look at where they are and be as aggressive as they can be, and still meet the mark about allowing our communities to grow, allowing our economy to flourish, allowing jobs to move forward. And we did that. We actually didn't do a one-size-fits-all. We did a standard that we thought was achievable for every state. We're asking for those states over the next 120 days to come in and tell us, maybe they could do a little more, maybe they can't do quite as much. What's reasonable, what's appropriate? Do we get our facts right in this national framework? And we're allowing every state to do what this state has done and step up and be a leader. Recognize that it's not just the coastal areas that are threatened by climate change. It is out west with wildfires. It is the Midwest with droughts and extreme flooding events. It is every one of us who are impacted. Our public health is impacted, because when climate change happens, the weather goes up, you have heat stress, you have higher ozone, and what you end up with is threats to our children because they're having asthma attacks at higher and higher rates. This rule alone will provide $90 billion in health and climate benefits to the American public. $90 billion. Now, I realize that for some states, they're starting at a place that's not quite where Delaware is today. But if you could hang out with them a little, maybe provide some opportunities for sharing information, that I think we can all get there. And if a state says they can't get to the number that is in our rule, and we can't make this big leap forward for public health, for our country, and for the world, then everybody needs to ask them why not. Because if they can't do it as an individual state, they can join a multi-state effort. They can join the ones that exist, or they can make their own. The biggest thing we can do right now, however, is to take action, because the danger of inaction should be unacceptable to all of us. Thank you very much, everybody, for your leadership. And Sean, Sean mentioned that he's from Delaware. I want you to know that he actually goes to other states once in a while. He's just grumpy when he does. But he does a great job, as do all of you. And I want to thank you for being able to come to a place that's so emblematic of not just where we are today, but the vision of how to live sustainably in the 21st century. This is what American ingenuity and investment is all about. And I have to end just recognizing that a utility is sitting here in the front seat. Thad, Calpine, you have always been at the table. You have always been willing to roll up your sleeves. It does not surprise me in the least that I'm standing at your facility. Because the leadership that you've shown is tremendous. And again, hang out with your comrades, your colleagues, because together we can do this, and I thank you so much. Thanks.